What is popping, y'all? It is a man, Cloudboy Bales, and welcome to another episode. And well, would I say, technically the first weekly Wednesday prediction video of the year, because yes, today is Wednesday, and tomorrow is the NFL draft. So of course, as always, every year that I've been making YouTube videos, I always make my predictions for who I believe the Packers are going to take in this year's NFL draft. This year, the Packers have, I believe, 11 picks. A first round, 2 second rounds, 2 third rounds, a fourth round, a fifth round, and 2 sixths and 2 sevenths, if I am accurate, yes. And I'm excited. There's a lot of people that I believe we can take. Now, after doing my research, going on who I think is the best candidates, who were top 30 visits, I feel like this draft seems the most this mock draft seems the most reasonable that the Packers can take. Last year, my early predictions were Luke Van Ness. I ended up switching at the last second to Darnell Wright because I actually heard that's who they wanted to take, but then the Bears took him. So then we went with Lucas Van Ness anyways. But I'm thinking, they're definitely going to... I don't think they're going to be as aggressive. I still think they're going to stick at 25. I don't know if they're going to trade up or trade down. We'll see what they do. Trades don't really happen in day 3, but you never know what's going to happen. A lot can happen. And there's a lot of positions I think the Packers definitely need to address going forward. And obviously, I'm going to go over each of the 11 picks and who I think the Packers could take at that spot. Obviously, I know I probably won't be right on all of them, maybe, but who knows? I could be. So this, obviously, my instinct last year was Van Ness. We picked him, but I switched it at the last second. This year, I'm hoping, and I'm very confident in who I think they're taking with the number 1 overall pick. But a lot could happen. If you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts. Let's get down to business. First round, 25 pick. Packers will be selecting this year. Oh yeah, Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback, Alabama. I was between a lot of people. I wanted DeJean for the longest time, but his recency of him he's been really rising up as of lately. He's been a late bloomer because of his pro days. I mean, he's an athlete, but the thing is, Cooper, I think, is already going to be taken. Everyone keeps claiming we're going offensive line. Everyone thought last year, but I think the exact same thing is going to happen again. The ones that we want are going to be all taken. I'm talking about Amarius Mims, Tyler Guyton, and Graham Barton. All going to be taken. So what bet? And, obviously, there's some big free agents. Obviously, Kenny Clark's a free agent, but the guy... I don't want to get rid of Kenny Clark. I think he's valuable, and I just don't really want to see them do it. I think that they will extend him at some point, maybe like 2 years at some point during the NFL season. I think they need to address a position that obviously someone's going to be leaving. I believe that they're not bringing back Eric Stokes. I believe that Kool-Aid is going to eventually take over that position in a year. And that's what they've been doing. They've been drafting people that are eventually going to be taking over the position in the future. That's obviously what they did with Stokes when we wanted to get rid of Kevin King. And obviously Stokes never really panned. And it's not really his fault. He was always injured, and that's why obviously he probably won't really last after, his injury history is a problem too. But Kool-Aid's great. I mean, he's aggressive. He's a sticky brand of match coverage that should be immediately appealing to like any NFL franchise looking to help on the boundary anyways. He's strong, he's physical, and there's some things that he does draw a lot of penalties at times. And there's some similarities that he is very similar to Eric Stokes sometimes in because he can't cover fast receivers. But you know what? He's very sticky, and when I say sticky, he's all over you. His stat lines in his 3 years of playing, and he wasn't a full-time starter, just to let you guys know, until later. 93 total tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 interceptions. and a lot of it is because no one wants to throw to him, and I will say that, true, but you never know. This is a guy that could develop into a great top tier player. I think he could be a top tier player. The name obviously is appealing, but he is described as sticky, and I think being with Jair Alexander, I think both the two of them really pair up with one another, and I definitely think it's gonna be this was the guy, Kool-Aid McKinstry was the guy I was actually predicting way back in the season. I said the Packers are gonna take Kool-Aid, but then all of a sudden he was really rising up. The Packers were doing good, and I was thinking, okay, we're not getting Kool-Aid, and then all of a sudden Kool-Aid's going back, and now it's like, oh my gosh, we might actually get him. So anything can change. All right, that's our first round pick. Second round pick. Obviously, I think they're going to address the biggest need. Last year, our biggest need was tight end. And I think our biggest need this year is safety. Right now, our only starting safety is Xavier McKinney. Now, we could trade up, just like we did last year and get one, but I don't think there's really anybody in the draft that really stands out to me. So I feel like we should just stick around with the second round pick and just get someone that I say could be a real strong safety. And I think after watching, I've watched this guy a little bit in one game, obviously, because I'm a Badgers fan. And I was thinking, this guy could definitely be a real great player. And I'm thinking Jaden Hicks, the safety out of Washington State. I think he is strong. 155 total tackles, 3.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown. A well-built, strong safety who can play at all 3 levels of the field. He's a tone-settling tackler and has the starting potential to be in a 2-safety system, especially as a strong safety robber over the middle. Our full safety is McKinney. Our strong safety is Hicks. That is exactly what we should have in our outfield. A strong safety. He is a phenomenal tackler. The problem was the last couple of years, Rudy Ford and Jonathan Owens just could not tackle. And that was unfortunately an issue. Those two could not really cover. And I think that this guy, we see him all over the field. This is a guy, pairing Hicks up with McKinney is just going to be spectacular. Hicks, and there's some guys, I think Hicks is the best safety in this draft right now. I think that personally, I think he is the best safety in this draft. That's how I see it. Our other second round pick, I think, is going to be the linebacker spot. Now, obviously we got rid of Devondre Campbell, but with Jeff Hafley coming in, I think Isaiah McDuffie is going to actually be a starter. So I think they're going to start Quay Walker and Isaiah McDuffie. I know that I think they're going to 3-4, so maybe they'll get someone else in there or switch someone else, and, it's different. But I think, there's not really... I think Edgerrin Cooper and Peyton Wilson are great picks. However, both those guys, I think, are going to already be taken. So I think they're just going to have to panic and take the next best person available. That being said, second round pick, number 58, I say will be Junior Colson out of Michigan. His background and journey to the point are inspiring. He's got a great story about how he's really made it. His stats aren't the greatest. I mean, he's got 256 total tackles and 2.5 sacks in 3 years, but he wasn't a full-time starter. But when he was healthy, he was really the commander of this Michigan Wolverines that led them to their championship. He is not the greatest athlete, but he is an overall good player, which will likely make him a 2-tick. And I think he is definitely a guy that could start, but I think he's a backup as of right now. A guy that could start in the future, a guy that is a backup right now. I think it would be a safe pick with Junior Colson coming out of Michigan. Our third round pick, I think they're also going to address safety. And I think it's important to have a backup safety to both Jaden Hicks and Xavier McKinney. That way we don't really have to address it because we already have Anthony Johnson that actually is pretty decent at that position, and Zane Anderson who's good on special teams. If we do this, we don't even have to address the position because I don't really feel like signing a veteran would be the smart move because the Packers are a young team. We want to be a young team. Signing a veteran just wouldn't make sense. And with that, I think they're going with Kitan Oladapo, safety out of Oregon State. They drafted an Oregon State guy out of Luke Musgrave last year. I think they're going to keep going with an Oregon State guy. 249 total tackles, 6.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles. He fits the mold of a physical downhill safety with core special teams value, likely earning snaps in sub packages, focusing on like run defense, tight end coverage. His ability to adapt to professional game speed and complexity will be key. If he redefines his coverage mechanics and improves his on-field awareness, I think he's a starting caliber safety. You know, we signed Xavier McKinney, but I think this guy could definitely overtake him in the future and be a starting safety. Drafting 2 safeties, just like we did 2 tight ends last year, I think is going to be a huge deal, knowing that our safety position is going to be set for the next possible 4 years. That right there is big. And I think Kenneth Oladipo, if he has the mechanics and does the right things, he can definitely be an all-pro safety in the NFL. I think he has the potential to be there. Just don't know it yet. But we'll see. Definitely. Our other third-round pick, I think, is going to be a backup running back. I think A.J. Dillon is, he's a backup, but I think they might honestly put him at fullback due to how Josh Jacobs is such a power runner. We need a guy who has some quick ability. Now, obviously, I think the running backs at this point are all going to start to be taken. So I think they're just going to go with someone that they met in their top 30, that being Ray Davis, the running back out of Kentucky. 746 carries for 3,626 yards and 29 touchdowns, and 94 catches for 762 yards and 12 touchdowns. He brings a long track record for production on the table with a 200-plus pound frame. The all-SEC tailback has shown the ability to run between tackles with all good pad level and patience, allowing blocks to set up, and he does a good job of falling forward. He's not a true power runner, we have Jacobs, but we need a guy who has the quick ability to be in the backfield as maybe a third down type option. He is a multi-dimensional player, and I think he could be good as a backup because obviously he does have the ability to catch beyond the backfield. And I think that is very important because who knows, Jacobs can pretty much do everything. He's a great back, but you definitely could use a third down viable option. And I think A.J. Dillon will actually be starting at fullback this year, not running back, because we saw how much he can really block, and we're going to see how that really fits in. Ray Davis is definitely someone I think could be a key contributor for the Packers in the future. Going on to day three. I think I'm just going to go over these a lot quicker because, day 3 I never really seem to get much things right. 4th round pick, I think they're going to they should address at least some offensive linemen on this day. Blake Fisher, the tackle out of Notre Dame, seems reasonable. Joe Alt, obviously, is the big name tackle out of Notre Dame, but the other tackle who is actually very underrated is Blake Fisher. He presents a nice mix of raw physical attributes. He's developed skills that make him a good but not great prospect, but he has definitely the talent to be a starter. David Bakhtiari came out of Notre Dame. Blake Fisher would basically be like a future replacement. He could definitely be a starter. And, we already signed Andre Dillard. Rasheed Walker and Zach Tom are likely going to be the starting tackles. Tom will move to center once Myers leaves. Fisher could definitely be a replacement at that spot. So it could definitely be a great move. We'll see. 5th round pick, I think they're going to give Jordan Love another weapon in the air. I think whoever's available would make the most sense, but I think they're just going to go after maybe someone like Jacob Cowing, the wide receiver out of Arizona. He has 316 catches for 4,477 yards and 33 touchdowns in his entire college career. He's played at 3 different schools in 5 years. He projects as a quick-twitch slot receiver tasked with winning it quickly. He is basically, I would say, is the backup slot receiver to Reed. But he can sparingly play on the outside effectively as well. He has route running quickness, open field speed. He's a good wide receiver 3. He reminds me a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I think a guy I feel like he'd be a huge steal and a great weapon for Jordan Love to have. Going on to the 6th round, I think going after a backup center is a good, reasonable choice. And I think they're going to go after Andrew Rame, the center out of Oklahoma, who has actually said he wants to be a Packer. He was a top 30 visit. I think he will definitely be a steal. Definitely could be a backup center, since we don't obviously have that. He has to lack fundamentals, which is why I think he's a day 3 pick, because there's some fundamentals that he does lack, but he could definitely turn out to be an actual caliber backup or starter if they want to go that way, but very smart. Our other 6th round pick, I think some people might be a little shocked with this one, but I'm not. I think they're going to go after a punter here. Tory Taylor out of Iowa. He is a punter that dominated the sport this year, and I think he is going to be a star punter in the NFL. Dude literally killed Wisconsin could not beat Iowa this year because of him. And he just was that good of a punter all through his entire college career at Iowa. I think, as much as I think that Daniel Whelan did a great job to do and fix that punting, was the best punter we've had in a long time, the longevity is going to be an issue. And that's the thing. We never have had a consistent punter. I think drafting a guy like Tory Taylor will give us a consistent punter. Our 7th round pick at 245, I think that they should just get another backup quarterback. I'll say Sam Hartman, quarterback out of Notre Dame, makes sense. He is obviously, he's been in the college for like 6 years, but he's a good backup. He has 1,135 completions for 15,656 yards, 134 touchdowns, and 49 interceptions. Pretty much played his entire career with Wake Forest, transferred last year to Notre Dame to try to get his status going. Didn't have the greatest year at Notre Dame, but he still was quality. And Notre Dame for sure, and honestly, you always get a quarterback. He could be a free agent or a 7th round pick. I think it's a smart idea to draft another quarterback. He has good mechanics, and I think he could definitely be a great backup quarterback. And then finally, a position just for depth. I say our other 7th round pick, number 255, will be Norrell Pollard, the defensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. His numbers, 118 total tackles, 12 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 touchdown in like 4 years. Doesn't scream, oh, this guy's going to be a star, but it's just a fill-in position, especially with, as we know, Slayton has obviously got 1 year left. Norrell Pollard can definitely take over Slayton's spot because he is a run stuffer. That's his game. But anything can happen. It's the draft. What do you expect? So if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts, and as always, we will see you next time. Go Pack Go! Enjoy.